It's strange moving into a new house, especially when you're alone. A fresh start, a new life, it's supposed to be exciting. But let me tell you, when you find an unmarked letter on your kitchen table that you don't remember putting there, excitement isn't exactly the word that comes to mind. Let's back up a bit. My name's Emily. A few weeks ago, I moved into this small house on the outskirts of town. It was quaint, a little old-fashioned, with a picket fence and a manicured lawn. Very suburban, very ordinary. Just the way I like it. You see, I've always been a bit of an introvert, preferring quiet nights into raucous parties out on the town. The first letter came about a week after I'd settled in. It was sitting there on my kitchen table, just a plain white envelope, no postmark or return address. Intrigued and a little apprehensive, I tore it open. The note inside read, "Dear Emily, I hope you're settling into the house nicely. I saw you through the window today. You looked serene while sipping coffee and reading your book." Chills trickled down my spine. How could anyone know that? I'd moved here for solitude, yet someone was watching me, and they knew my name. Days passed, and the letters kept coming, each one describing my activities with an unsettling level of detail. One even mentioned the floral pattern of my nightgown. I was frightened, yes, but also intrigued. Who was this person? Why were they watching me? And perhaps most importantly, how were they getting into my house? Then, the first truly terrifying letter arrived. It read, "Emily, you were so peaceful sleeping last night. Your soft breaths were soothing. I felt my blood run cold." This was not just a curious observer. This person was getting inside my house, watching me sleep. My mind raced with questions and fear. I triple-checked the locks on all doors and windows, even setting up cheap security cameras I'd hurriedly purchased online. I considered going to the police, but realized I had nothing substantial. Just letters from an anonymous observer, no threats, no violence. But the invasion of privacy was real and terrorizing. Sleep was elusive those nights. Every creak of the old house sent me into panic, eyes wide open in the dark, clutching a baseball bat I'd found in the attic. I was living in a state of constant dread, yet the letters remained my only tangible connection to this silent watcher. One day, another letter arrived, different from the rest. The handwriting was hurried, the ink smudged. "Emily, don't be scared. I mean no harm. I just can't help watching you." My heart pounded in my chest. The anxiety was overwhelming, but so was a strange sense of empathy. After all, this person was disturbed, right? Maybe they needed help. And then, in the midst of all this fear, a spark of curiosity flared up. Who was this person that found solace in silently observing my life? But soon, that curiosity would be replaced by a bone-chilling horror. Little did I know, the nightmare was just beginning. Despite the fear and discomfort, I found myself becoming fascinated by this unknown figure. Each letter, each intrusion into my privacy, stirred a mixture of dread and intrigue within me. The unease was palpable, but so was the curiosity. One night, I decided to write back. "Who are you?" Penned on a piece of paper and left it on the kitchen table. It felt ridiculous, communicating with this faceless stalker. But what else could I do? I woke up the next day to find a response, just a lonely soul, "Emily, drawn to your light." A chill ran through me as I read the note. This wasn't normal. It was deeply unsettling. But it was also oddly poignant. I decided to push further. Why me? And why can't you just approach me like a normal person? Left the note on the table before going to bed. The reply awaited me in the morning. Because fear of rejection runs deep, Emily. I see you, really see you. And I fear that if you see me, you might not like what you find. There was something profoundly sad about his words, something that resonated within me. The fear of rejection, the loneliness, it was something I understood, something I had felt. But it didn't excuse his actions, his invasions into my life. His letters began taking a more personal turn. He spoke about his own life, his solitude, and his obsession with me. He confessed to having a troubled past but didn't elaborate. His letters became my guilty secret, a terrifying yet intimate part of my life. It was a bizarre and chilling connection, one that left me in a constant state of anxiety. One evening, I was startled by a noise from the basement. A muffled thump, followed by a soft scratching. My heart pounded in my chest as I picked up my trusty baseball bat and crept down the stairs. The dimly lit basement looked normal, filled with boxes and old furniture. But then, I saw it. A small hatch hidden under an old rug, slightly ajar. I'd never noticed it before. Curiosity overcame fear as I crouched down and pulled the hatch open. It led to a tunnel, the walls bare and earthen, disappearing into the darkness below. The realization hit me like a punch to the gut. My watcher had been living beneath my house. Suddenly, everything made sense. The letters, the intimate knowledge of my daily activities, the fear, my watcher wasn't just some creepy stranger. He was my unseen housemate. The thought was nauseating, terrifying. The intrusion wasn't just in my letters or my privacy. It was physical, right beneath my feet. As the gravity of the situation began to sink in, a deep, crippling fear took over. Me. I was advised to stay with friends for a while. But I was obstinate. This was my house. I wasn't about to be chased out of it. I had alarms installed, steel bars on the windows. I was determined to reclaim my space. For a while, there was peace. No more letters, no more strange noises. Just the eerie silence of an empty house. But the peace was short-lived. One day, I came home to find a letter on the kitchen table. Missed me, Emily? Terror coursed through me. He was back. The police were called again, but they found nothing, no signs of forced entry, no traces of an intruder. Just an empty house and a terrified homeowner. His letters grew more desperate, more possessive. He spoke of his love for me, his obsession. His words were twisted, his reasoning unhinged. He was a monster hiding in the shadows, watching, always watching. But he was also a man, a deeply troubled, lonely man. One night, I woke up to find him standing at the foot of my bed. His face was obscured by darkness, his figure looming large and threatening. Emily, he whispered, his voice as soft as the night, don't be afraid. But I was. I was terrified. His presence, the realization of my worst fears, it was almost too much to bear. But amidst the terror, I found my courage. I confronted him, demanding that he leave me alone. I was tired of living in fear, tired of feeling violated. His departure was as silent as his arrival. He simply disappeared into the night, leaving behind only a haunting silence. But his presence lingered, a haunting reminder of the terror I had lived. Days turned into weeks, then months. The police never found him, and the letters stopped. My life slowly regained a semblance of normalcy, but the fear never truly left. I learned to live with it, learned to accept the fact that he might still be out there, watching. The horror of that time lingers, a constant reminder of the darkness that lurks in the corners of our lives. One night, I woke up to find him standing at the foot of my bed. His face was obscured by darkness, his figure looming large and threatening. "Emily," he whispered, his voice as soft as the night, "don't be afraid." But I was. I was terrified. His presence, the realization of my worst fears, it was almost too much to bear. But amidst the terror, I found my courage. I confronted him, demanding that he leave me alone. I was tired of living in fear, tired of feeling violated. His departure was as silent as his arrival. He simply disappeared into the night, leaving behind only a haunting silence. But his presence lingered, a haunting reminder of the terror I had lived. Days turned into weeks, then months. The police never found him, and the letters stopped. My life slowly regained a semblance of normalcy, but the fear never truly left. I learned to live with it, learned to accept the fact that he might still be out there, watching. The horror of that time lingers, a constant reminder of the darkness that lurks in the corners of our lives.